सुन ले तू पुकार, प्रभु तू आजा, दिल के राजा, सुन ले तू पुकार। स्वर्ग का राजा है तू, मेरे दिल में आजा।
Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come." It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening, or at midnight, or at cockcrow, or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all.
It's past midnight. You are fast asleep and dreaming. A ferocious lion is chasing you. You turn right, the lion turns right. You turn left, the lion turns left. The faster you run, the faster the lion runs. You are doomed. How will you escape? The answer is simple. Wake up. Wake up from your sleep and stay awake. The Gospel today has a short parable about a rich man who has servants to whom he assigns particular tasks before he sets off on a journey. He singles out the doorkeeper with a special warning. Be on your guard then, because you do not know when the master of the house is coming. What I say to you then, I say to all, stay awake. Bahadur Prasad got a new job as a watchman in a famous film studio. He was very excited and enthusiastic about the new job in a film studio with new uniform and a good salary. He felt privileged to open and close the gates for film stars as they arrived and left. Within a few months, the novelty wore off. The job became monotonous for Bahadur Prasad. He began to just go through the motions. His initial love and enthusiasm evaporated. His heart was no longer in the job. If we were to focus our gaze on Bahadur Prasad alone, we would realize that perhaps the danger facing him was not so much that he may fall asleep on the job, but that it would become just a job and nothing more. We know that gatekeeping can become boring and routine can take over the best of circumstances. We can get used to anything. We can get used to the sacred as well. We can get used to God and allow smugness and skepticism to creep into our lives. We can become Christians by habit and keep up the external ritual but not encounter God, only our emptiness. We can easily become Christians by habit only, merely going through the motions and taking part in the rituals that have lost their meaning. Birds and animals are creatures of habit. Swallows are little birds that migrate to warmer places every winter. They return to the same nest every year. For hundreds of years, the crows have been making their nests in the same way. Swallows and crows are creatures of habit. Habits play a big part in our life too. We live the second half of our life according to the habits acquired in the first half of our life. This is comforting news for those who have formed good habits, but disturbing news for those who have formed bad habits. There is a positive side of habits. Habits can be life-giving and sustaining. Daily habits can keep people going and help them get through bad times. Nelson Mandela found meaning in daily little habits in prison, washing his clothes, sweeping and mopping the floor. There is also a negative side to habits. There is a lot of repetition in life, especially in work. As a result of doing the same thing day in and day out, we get into a rut and end up doing things merely out of habit. We become casual and absent-minded. Habits can dull our senses. They can put us to sleep. Habits can be selfish. Habits are very hard to break, especially the bad habits. First we hate them, then we get used to them, and then we depend on them. Every once in a while, we need a jolt to wake up from our slumber. An experiment was conducted on a frog which was placed in a pot of hot water. In a fraction of a second, it jumped right out. A little while later, the same frog was placed in cold water that was slowly brought to a boil. The frog sat there. Its nervous system is so primitive, it needed a sudden jolt to realize that it was in danger. That is also the purpose of Advent. It gives us a jolt. It issues a wake-up call to us. It provides us a chance to start again. The season of Advent is all about waiting. Waiting is a part of life. Every morning we wait for the newspaper and the milkman. We wait for our favorite TV program. We wait for holidays. In a sense, waiting is an indication of our powerlessness, dependence, and limitation. We confess our incompleteness. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, the Jewish psychiatrist Dr. Viktor Frankl tells the story of how he survived the atrocities of the concentration camp at Auschwitz during the World War. Dr. Frankl says that one of the worst sufferings at Auschwitz was waiting for the war to end, waiting for an uncertain date of release, or just waiting for death to end the agony. This waiting caused some prisoners to lose sight of future goals, to let go of their grip on present realities and give up the struggle. The same waiting made others like Dr. Victor accept it as a challenge, as a test to their inner strength and a chance to discover deeper dimensions of freedom. There is a hope in all our waiting. Hope reduces the negative effects of our powerlessness. Advent is the time when we are reminded that we have to stay awake and wait for God. We admit our dependence. We can only wait for God to make Himself known to us. Advent is the time for us to wake up to give an account of our stewardship. Wake up into a time for giving and sharing, a time that we are called to be thankful and prepare our hearts for the Christ child. Wake up and open our eyes in faith to see God present and active in our life and in our world. We know Jesus is constantly coming into our lives. Each of us is the doorkeeper whom God has put in charge of our lives, as well as the lives of our community, our church, our society. Advent calls us to stand ready. We stay alert by living the values of our Redeemer in our own time. We can only welcome Jesus into our life if we are awake, alert, and attentive to Him. Amen.